I think I'm on next. Okay. I'm Alice Alicia Jones, and this is my a continuation of my Living Consciously videos. I welcome you. I'm so happy that you're here, and I will do my best to stick to my allotted time of 15 minutes. I do post these on my Facebook channel, and every one of them is in the neighborhood of usually 15 to 20 minutes. Sometimes I go to 22. But I want to wish you all a happy new year. And I'm going to be addressing an issue that just transpired a few days ago. But I'm going to start it with a totally different perspective. This happened to me about 15 years ago. And effectively, I was speaking to my sister. She was a an elementary school principal at the time. And she made a comment that they all lie. And I kept saying, no, they don't. She was talking about everybody in general. And I said, no, they don't. And she said, they all lie. She said it emphatically. She was not going to get off that train of thinking. And so I thought about her statement. And then I thought to myself, I don't lie. And then turned it around and asked myself, what is the biggest lie that I ever told myself? And I had to go back into my memory bank. And I can remember there was a time where I heard very, very clearly, very loudly, a voice inside my head that said, you will never get what you want, so settle for what you can get. And effectively, that just really took me back because I know I had been changing my priorities. I had exited a real estate career of 25 years and was now looking to go into becoming an author and a teacher and a healer. All new goals for me. And so hearing this voice so emphatically state, you will never get what you want, so settle for what you can get, I really kind of felt miserable about that. And then said to myself, well, I'm going to think about that instead of just accepting the sound of that voice inside my head. And then the next day, I sat down and I wrote out major goals that I had accomplished and minor goals that I had accomplished. I'm only going to go and I'm only going to take you through four major ones because they were the biggies in my life. They happened every single time my life twisted into a different direction, turned, and I did something else. The first thing that I wanted, that the universe was conspiring, looked like the universe was conspiring against me, was to graduate from the University of Michigan. I accomplished that in 1967. My first husband managed to keep me from um, the graduating in April, which would have been the class that I was slated in, but I did graduate in August. So effectively, I got that desire. That was my greatest wish. I had been raised in Michigan, and the University of Michigan was known as one of the top universities in the world. It was known around the world. And I didn't want to get that close uh, to graduating and not make it. I had one semester to go. So, anyway, the second thing that was such a biggie for me was that when I married my second husband, I gave him the list of exactly the kind of house I wanted to live in. Never varied from it. 4 bedroom, two and a half bath, three-level colonial, and in other words, full basement, double car garage, first floor family room, large eat-in kitchen. First home he put me into, townhouse. Sure, it was a colonial. It was three levels, no garage, no family room. Anyway, didn't last very long. That was 3.5 years. Then after that, he found a listing that had been come into our office and decided that we should buy it. It was a bi-level. It looked like a colonial on the outside, but effectively it was two levels. And you walked into a large entrance foyer, you walked upstairs to the living room, dining room, kitchen, the patio, the three additional bedrooms. And again, bi level, not my dream home, you know, by two levels. I wanted three. So the third home, and this came at a time when it literally felt so out of reach that the home was listed at $300,000. Well, it might as well have been 3 million. It was so out of reach for us. I first saw the listing when the South Run flyers were distributed in our multiple packet. And then I looked at it. I did take the advice of one of the instructors. Unfortunately, she has since passed. Her name was Jan Northrup, but she was a gal who was promoting a a course of study called The Promotable Woman. And she had written a very thin little book on this. And she gave a class on how to manifest your dreams. And one of her pieces of advice to us was take a picture of what it is that you want, hang it where you see it every day. Well, where I was going to see my picture every day, and that was a flyer of the home that was listed at 300,000 um, in my office, because I knew that I would be in my office every single day. I would see that picture every single day. And there was something that happened to me as I looked at that picture. I never once saw that as an impossible dream, that it was just a dream of mine, that I couldn't accomplish that. So effectively, as I looked at that picture, I literally became almost one with that picture, and just was so determined that I was just going to move towards making that a full-time dream, making that a full-time reality, taking that dream into reality. And effectively, it did take me a total of 3 years, but 3 years later, from the time I first saw the flyer for South Run, 3 years later, we moved into that home and into one of the properties. So I know that your concentrated focus, your attention, your desire to achieve something is what it takes to get it. I've done it. The next thing that I can remember, this is going backwards a little bit. This is 1972. I wanted to change careers, and I wanted to go from an employee into real estate. So I took my real estate exam for sales license in 72. Didn't make it, lost by 2 points. So, and I thought to myself, these, they do make it extremely tricky, but I knew that there were people out there that English wasn't their second language. I'm sorry, wasn't their first language. It was their second language, and they were managing to, you know, hurdle, the class. So I thought, nope, just going to keep going. And the second time I tried, I made it. And a year later, I took the exam for the real estate broker's license, got that, and never looked back. And at the end of 25 years of full time listing and selling, I now had another goal. I put another goal in mind, and that was to become a healer and a speaker and a teacher of God. And so, along with that, I recognized I would have to give up full time real estate and go into part time real estate because full time was not doable for me. And when my guides made it clear to me that I uh, was to go into part time real estate, I said, "Oh, great! I'll give up the property management because that's what was taking so much of my time and only earning me 20% of my income." Actually, at that time, it was only 15% of my income because the prices were so rental prices were so low, and so effectively, I took a leap of faith, gave up 85% of my income, trusted God that the voice inside my head was not leading me astray. That if I was to pursue the spiritual path, that is what my soul contract was. At that time, I wasn't quite so clear about soul contracts as I am today. But anyway, the I knew that in 2002, I became a licensed minister. In 2004, I became a Reiki teacher. So from that point on, I continued because I had been channeling Spirit's message the entire time. So I, when I countered that voice inside my head that said, "You will never get what you want, so settle for what you can get." It was very interesting because in a few days, another voice came in. And this time I wrote it down. The only thing I had handy was a piece of napkin and the very cheap napkins. And I wrote down what I was hearing. And this time the voice contradicted the first voice. And then I recognized the voice of the ego talking versus the voice of spirit. And the voice of spirit came in and said, "No, the biggest lie you ever told yourself was that I would be rejected before I try to do something." And what did that translate into? Why write the article? No one's going to read it. Why send the email? No one's going to act on it. Why finish my book? No one's going to publish it. Well, obviously, that was the biggest lie I had ever told myself, that I would be rejected before I even tried. And I so encourage you to go and not allow all of what is happening out there keep you from pursuing the goals that you have set for yourself. My January 1 um, session basically said choose one goal, complete it, then go on to another. Do not have a list that is going to be totally forgotten before February's here. And because I live outside of Washington, D.C., the I'm sure all of you have seen what has happened on the news, how the Trump supporters stormed the Capitol and broke into the Capitol, and how, I guess I know one of the police officers is now dead. A woman died right very close, within hours of the storming, I think within an hour, shot by a stray bullet. And then all the objections that were raised were because of lies that have permeated our culture. Lies that claimed that the election was stolen from the president. Not true. Not true. Not true. Anybody who has believed that, and obviously 74 million voters have believed that, and I'm sure there's tons of other people that have believed that, have to get to a place where they have to recognize the difference between a lie and the truth. And interestingly enough, I know that when I am talking to somebody and they're telling me a lie, I can feel it because there is something in their energy field that effectively grates against my energy field. Just the same way that when you place your hand on the nap of a carpet, if you go with the nap, it feels like silk. If you go against the nap, it's prickly and it hurts. So that's what a lie does. So pay attention to your feelings. Pay attention to the way you feel, because right now, the additional lies that are being spread are that, oh, it wasn't Trump supporters, it was the Antifa and it was the extreme left that stormed the Capitol. Anybody who watched the happenings, and I suspect it was a good portion of the people in the United States that watched this, know that that is not true, because Trump spoke to his supporters. He asked them to come here. He spoke to them. He originally said he was going to accompany them. He did not. He went back into the White House and watched the proceedings on TV. So please do start discerning. There is an antidote to lying. It's called tell the truth. And effectively, that's my wish for 2021, is that we can get to a place where we can speak the truth. One of the commentators that I heard that said in the 60s, in the 70s, in the 80s, typically you had three broadcast stations. They all had their favorite anchors. They all shared the same news. Now, between Fox News and cable news and the different digital news mediums, you have an unbelievable amount of places you can go to get alternative facts. Alternative facts lead you to an alternative reality, and alternative realities lead you to what we witnessed, the storming of the Capitol, which was unfortunately witnessed around the world, because that was the day that was chosen. January 6th is the day that's chosen not to certify the votes of the Electoral College. Those have been certified in the states. They are simply there to count the certified votes. That's all that they were supposed to do. And anyway, that is not what happened. I am, and like I said, there is an antidote to this. Tell the truth. Just tell the truth. And when faced with, geez, am I going to hurt someone's feeling? Or if I say this, and better than not to say anything. I have done that. I have recognized when, if I would make a statement about something that contradicted what somebody else was saying, in some cases, I would start World War III, and that would be in my own home. And so I knew that better than to bring any conflict into the um, into my life, into the situation. But I also have witnessed something in the last couple months that I have never witnessed before. I have witnessed that as I simply say nothing, instead of contradicting the other person, and I just go about my business, do what I have to do, interestingly enough, the other person will come and apologize. And I can tell from their apology that they are sincerely sorry, that they are sincere in their apology. So we have got to get back on a course of truth. Truth is the same for every man, it doesn't differ from one person to another. It doesn't differ from one religion to another. It does, you may have different ideologies, but there is one truth. Anyway, I thank you for watching. I thank you for being here. I wish you all a happy new year. And I am going to see you next week, Friday, on the continuation of living consciously. And anybody who's left a comment, I will try to answer it in the latter part of the afternoon.